Animation and film as a whole is an amazing means of entertainment and has been able to develop because of the advancements in technology, cultural developments, and overall large world events that have occurred over time. These changes eventually lead to what people know and see today around the world, each form still developing into something greater. One of the first films ever created was called Arrival of a Train and was published in 1896. The Lumiere brothers were the geniuses who created such a phenomenon, and the people at the time were absolutely ecstatic since nothing like this had ever been done before. Phantasmagorie is the first official animation and was published in 1908. Before this time, film had been a primary form of entertainment, but this small animated clip was able to introduce the world to hand-drawn animation, something that wouldn't change until around the 1970s with the introduction of better technology and digital works. One of the first examples of hand-drawn animation in Japanese history is Namakura Katana. This was published in 1917, and like many Japanese stories, it followed the tales of a samurai. Though this tale might not be as elaborate as most, the struggle with the blunt katana is still easily recognizable, even without sound. Orochi is a Japanese film that was directed by Buntaro Futagawa in 1925. The story follows a samurai who faces hardships due to a misunderstanding, which helps the audience see into the unjust world he faces. The film takes some attributes from the very popular kabuki theater, from the face paint to the over-the-top story. The Jazz Singer is a 1927 movie that was created using jazz music during the Harlem Renaissance. The film is mainly based on the creation of jazz itself and the booming African American culture during the 1920s. This film had also been the first of its time to use actual sound, movies no longer having to rely on simple silence. Rashomon is a movie that was directed by Akira Kurosawa in the year 1950. This film is based on a short story called In the Grove, which follows a woodcutter who later finds the body of a dead samurai in the woods, which is the main drive for the rest of the plot. The film has also won many awards such as an Academy Honorary Award and is considered one of the greatest films ever made. The Wizard of Oz is one of the most recognizable movies ever created and was also one of the first to fully implement color into films. Not only was this film heavily influenced by such technology, but it is also believed to be an allegory for populism, since many at the time felt that bankers were in complete control and people such as farmers and factory workers were constantly under fire from them.
Way over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby.
Carmen Comes Home was a Japanese comedy film that was published in 1951. Compared to many previous films, this was a different take on Japanese films, and the overall look shows this. Before, many had a darker tone, and this is clearly a change. This film had also been Japan's first ever colored film, impressing all who saw it at the time.
あなたの弾いてたオルガンですよ。
Digital animation had finally hit its peak in 1995 with the creation of Pixar's Toy Story. This has been the first fully 3D animated film, and its popularity and influence still shows today. Many modern-day animations still show inspiration from the first, and will always until the next big step is taken. Only a few years after, Studio Ghibli was able to produce Spirited Away, one of the most highly praised Japanese films in both Japan and America. Animations such as these had finally been able to completely break the boundary in film, leaving an unmeasurable amount of inspiration to be had and explored from both sides of the world. From that day on, both animation and film were able to expand into the wonderful creations today. From simple 2D animation so commonly used throughout history, to breathtaking visuals that would never be achieved in the past, all forms have their own place in modern entertainment, and we can only hope for what the future brings.